Conference will now be recorded.
It's kind of like a workout up here. My heart's pounding.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. Just so everyone knows, I am going to pick the pace up today because we do have tight time constraints. Some of the board members have things to do today by 11, so it will be a little bit quicker than usual. Roll call.
Mike Lori.
Here.
Joshua Shane.
Here.
Jeff Hildreth.
Here.
Kristen Sanders.
Here.
Wes Bonheim.
Here. Hi. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay. Page one done. All right, public comment. Does anyone have anything that is not on the agenda today that they'd like to bring up? Yes.
So recently, California just passed something called NICO, which essentially allows homes to have their own restaurant, which is pretty amazing, and everyone in California is adapting it. Mendocino just adapted it as well. It's really, really successful. Humboldt County still hasn't. So I'm wondering if we do the paperwork, write a letter to the county to encourage them to pass that for all the home bakers that are here to help us get consistent.
What's the spelling on there?
MEHKO.
MEHKO.
Yes. Very exactly.
And it's throughout.
Yeah, all of California.
Newsom passed it, and it's been really successful. Southern California's seen great success. Mendocino just passed it recently too, and it's popping off.
Okay, cool.
So it's just something to look into. It's something new. It just passed in January, but I think it'd be really great here to help bring in money for us. First line. Thanks, guys.
Anybody else? Comments, anything that's not on the agenda today? No? Okay, we're gonna move on. Consent calendar. Does anyone have anything in the consent calendar they want pulled for later discussion?
I actually do, because I wasn't able to touch base with Jessica. I would like to get
The
the
bills or the minutes?
minutes.
We'll pull the minutes.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any
Yeah, just a couple of questions on the bills.
bills? Okay, we'll let them pull these calendar.
Sorry.
So we'll start with the minutes. Discussion, go ahead. We'll move on to the items pulled from consent calendar.
Okay, on page 4, number 7, it says the action was approved Parks and Rec Committee Budget Subcommittee, but the motion was made to deny the creation of the parks, and that did pass, and it just says motion failed. I just wanted to-
Jessica, should we do these individually then, since we pulled them? Or motion to approve? Sorry, motion would be fine. Okay, let's move on. Wes, you got questions on the bills?
The question on the bill, it says advanced displaying signs, it says sports court, and then it says in kind in parentheses. What does that mean? That means that we've been paid for it.
Yeah, that's how it's worded in our budget. It's the matching funds, sports courts in kind.
Okay, so that was our in kind expense that was required to be paid for
Out
that.
of the expense area of our budget.
Okay, and then what is the Liftoff LLC for IT services?
Yeah, that's the our Microsoft licenses, it's an annual charge. They are the provider of the Microsoft licenses. They have
Manage the licensing. Okay, so once a year expense?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Anybody else? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and or the consent
And the
calendar
bills.
and the bills.
Yeah.
As presented. I will second that motion.
Roll call.
Jeff Hildreth.
Aye.
Kristen Sanders.
Aye.
Mike Lori.
Aye.
Wes Bondheim,
Aye.
Susan Shay.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on, correspondence discussion items. Humboldt County correspondence. Chris?
Yes, I did reach out to Lieutenant Kyle Holt, the Humboldt County Sheriff's Office, but I do not see him online right now. I can relay that county roads, really appreciate what they did there on Hillside Drive, what they're doing currently. I reached out to them 2 weeks ago about a failing culvert there that was going to threaten one of our large-sized water mains. And they jumped on it within a week and they're already fixing it. So definitely appreciate that. And just once again, be careful driving on Shelter Cove Road at Hillside Drive. They're still moving around trucks, so it carries hazardous corner there. Watch out when you're driving up Shelter Cove Road. But that's about all I can relate to Humboldt County correspondence.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Public comment? Moving on, Parks and Rec Committee report. Laura? Excuse me.
I'm just gonna speak quickly. So we have some final recommendations for you guys, but what we'd like to do is just kind of give you the summary first of our recommendations, and then whenever the packet is ready for you, which will be the next meeting, then you guys can look at it as a full solution. So I'll just kind of briefly summarize what we came to the conclusion of. So starting with parks, trails, and recreation, we have Parks, Trails, and Beaches Subcommittee evaluated opportunities to improve recreation, safety, and access to outdoor spaces throughout Shelter Cove. The goal of these recommendations is to create more walkable, family-friendly recreation areas while protecting the natural beauty that makes the Cove unique. Together, these projects form a connected recreation network that benefits residents, visitors, and future generations. So our recommended projects, a Lower Cove walking loop, a clearly marked walking route through the Lower Cove neighborhood to provide a safe alternative to walking on the airport runway, while encouraging healthy outdoor activity. Parkettes and small community spaces. Development of small neighborhood park spaces with seating, native landscape, and gathering areas to create welcoming public places throughout the community. A living eco playground, a nature-inspired playground using natural materials and coastal-themed design to provide a unique play space for children while blending the surrounding environment. So essentially, we'll zhuzh up what we already have there. Trail and beach access improvement. Improving signage, trail markers, and access points to help residents and visitors safely navigate local trails and beaches. Community wayfinding and recreation. A coordinated signage system to connect parks, trails, and public recreation areas while highlighting Shelter Cove's natural environment. So the funding approach here is many of these projects are strong candidates for outside funding through state recreation grants, coastal and environmental programs, and local partnerships. Implementing projects in phases allows the community to maximize grants while minimizing local costs. The conclusion in this is these recommendations focus on improving safety, expanding recreation opportunities, and enhancing Shelter Cove's natural landscape. By investing in parks, trails, and outdoor spaces, the Resort Improvement District can strengthen the community well-being and support sustainable recreation for years to come. For the Community Center Subcommittee, our final recommendation is the Community Center Subcommittee was formed to evaluate the current condition of the Shelter Cove Community Center and identify improvements that will preserve the building while expanding the usefulness of the community. The committee's first priority is to address critical infrastructure issues, including roof leaks, water intrusion, and mold risks. These structural concerns must be resolved to ensure the building remains safe, functional, and protected for long-term community use. In addition to necessary repairs, the subcommittee recommends improving ADA accessibility through upgrades to entryways, restrooms, and emergency exits, so the facility can serve all members of the community safely and comfortably. The committee also recommends forming a working group to evaluate long-term improvements and potential redesign of the building's interior spaces. This effort would focus on maximizing the use of the facility, including opportunities for community services such as childcare, health services, fitness or yoga programs, and expanding community programming. Additional recommendations include improving storage areas for nonprofit use, adding proper refrigeration for food programs and events, and exploring a vending system for recreational activities and community amenities. These improvements will help ensure the community center remains a safe, functional, and flexible space that supports community programs, gatherings, and essential services for Shelter Cove residents. Many of these upgrades may qualify for grant funding and partnership opportunities, allowing the Resort Improvement District to preserve and improve this vital community asset. And so what we are going to do is our next meeting is going to be at 6 p.m. so we can have the whole community come and kind of look at our final recommendations and give any feedback before we present the finals to you guys. So that's going to be our next meeting. And then by the next meeting, we'll have final recommendations in your packet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, thank
What day is it?
What's today?
And then I saw that the pump track is in our binder, but you didn't mention it. Is that one of the recommendations?
I'm sorry.
The pump track?
Oh, the pump
That
track.
one?
Yeah,
Okay,
these
cool.
are just a brief summary. There's so many things that would take me like 9 hours.
Oh, it was just listed, so I missed it.
So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but this is just kind of a general summary of some of the top things that we want to do.
And it's what day?
It's a week from today.
Yeah, next
Mhm.
Thursday.
Thursday, March 26th.
Okay. And it's not a town hall, it's our regular committee meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Clarification, but everyone will be able to ask their questions and present it. Also, the other thing that she didn't mention that's also in here is under trail and beach access improvements, one of the number one things is a comprehensive fire resilient master trail plan, which will take some time, but would be very beneficial to both the fire safety and then also for the district as a whole.
Yeah, and we'll have all that ready for the next meeting. So,
Perfect.
awesome.
Thank you very much for your work.
All right, you're welcome.
Anybody else have questions? I'm just gonna say great, thank you for the update. All right, public comment?
I have.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I would like to get a little bit of feedback from the board if there's any directions you want to give to our committee or any other questions you'd like addressed. And then also for staff, if there's anything, a direction that we should be going or things that we should be looking at.
What I will add is the way that it's laid out. So with each proposal, we'll have the grants that are associated with it and an estimated budget. So everything will be together. So each project will have the grant funding, potential nonprofits that want to be a part of it, and then the budget. So, and that's what this next meeting will be too. I've invited all the nonprofits to come and say, hey, we want to work on that. So then when we give you the recommendation, we can say Spark wants to do this, or Code Connect wants to do this, or Scopa wants to do this, or, so then you guys have a general idea of who to work with on this project.
And that will show in-kind contribution as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. That was actually going to be my request. Is if we could get some of those grants listed, but that sounds like an even better solution.
It's it's going to be thick.
Yeah. I definitely think the Lower Cove walking loop is a great idea. I mean, everybody loves a boardwalk these days, and we have a great spot for it. So.
Anybody else? Public comment?
All right, pretty small update here. So what I've been working with a consultant on this, and we're scheduling, first of all, a 2-day training workshop with an outside consultant for early May for the full board and senior staff. This will involve, and also legal counsel. He recommended involving legal counsel attend. So I called and legal counsel said they can come too. The training will focus on refining the district's strategic plan and include governance training. It will also serve as a team building exercise. Now, I know there was a question about what is governance training. This was, I guess, something part of the class that Wes, Jeff, and Pesha did at the CSDA conference, but it basically covers legal fiduciary duties, risk management, regulatory compliance, and board dynamics. It strengthens organizational oversight, strategic decision-making, and ethical leadership. So that's what governance training is, in addition to our strategic planning workshops. So also, I've been, senior staff and I will meet online with the consultant for a planning meeting. Our first one is scheduled actually Friday next week. It'll be a 3-hour online, just to sort of plan for the workshop. So we may have 1 or 2 of those meetings before the meeting in May. So that's the update on the strategic plan. Any questions?
Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got some questions. Sorry. So, I mean, I'm usually the first one to say, hey, did legal counsel look at this? For our strategic plan, though, what is the idea behind having legal counsel present?
I just went with the consultant's recommendation on that. I would have to have his words explained. Me,
Okay.
I was a little bit like, well, he's never even been here. He's kind of new for us.
Yeah, because if it's the consultant that I know, he's used to their legal counsel being present at every one of their meetings
That's it.
and participating, and like our legal counsel doesn't do that.
Correct.
And so I'm just a little concerned about how much that would cost. I think it'd be great to have our legal counsel there because I would like to see them more involved, but I also don't want to double the price of the.
That's a good suggestion.
And so maybe you could speak with the legal counsel. We could get some sort of discount or some sort of like a flat rate where it's like, come for these 2 days and we'll pay you a flat rate, but we're not going to pay you to sit through 16 hours worth of stuff that.
Okay, I will reach out to legal counsel and our consultant and refine this approach.
Yeah, just let Hillary know because I mean he's dealt with this before, I think. So it's and like I said, because I spoke to him before about legal counsel and he's like, well, if they're not at every one of your meetings, what do you? Yeah. So
Yeah. Bigger places.
Yeah. And then how much is he charging for it?
He's only charging travel, per diem, and lodging.
Oh wow, great. That's amazing. Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So the attorney would definitely be more expensive. Yeah. So if we could see, just kind of, if I would love legal counsel to be there. I would love to meet him in person. I would love to have him more involved in what we're doing, but I don't know that it makes sense for us to, spend 10 grand to have legal counsel there. Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions?
I just have to agree with Les. I'd hate to spend the money unnecessarily, especially when we're earning for money.
That's right.
I'm just excited to get this process rolling and excited that we're bringing in a consultant to make sure that we're doing this right. And the governance, and that he's including the governance training as well is, I think, going to be very beneficial for the board as a whole to all be on the same page.
Okay, no more questions, public comment, district strategic planning? No?
Also, this will be a Brown Act meeting, right? So the public will be allowed to attend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that being said, we'll move on. Sports court update, Chris.
Okay, so a lot of this was written before this week, and a lot of things happened this week. But so the construction of the sports courts project is scheduled for completion according to contract by July 27th. It will most likely be done much sooner. Since the last board meeting, myself as project manager, consultant engineer Mike Bruno, and Vincent Dakota McMahon, BDM Construction, agreed to a second change order. This is required for the extra time and materials necessary to add fence post footings on the north and south sides of the court and an extended sidewalk on the east side. This change order increases the construction contract an additional $90,430.80 to bring the new total up to $165,163.54. This amount is covered in full this current fiscal year under the grant income line item 10160 Sports Courts State Grant. Staff have also been busy assisting with the completion of the project. We've procured and installed a grant required sign to post at the site during construction and for 4 years afterward. Right now, that sign is on posts near the construction site. We plan on moving it onto the fence once the fence is installed. We've also purchased the basketball hoops, and so those are in transit. Another task for staff is to relocate the horseshoe pits. The planned location is to the west side of the bocce ball court, and to have this completed in time for the Irish games on Saturday, March 28th. In communication with staff and also the organizers for the Irish games, and if it doesn't work in that location, we'll move it to the between Upper Pacific Drive and the sports court construction site. We've also been gathering quotes for fencing. The final design will be 8-foot fencing on the north and south sides of the court behind the basketball hoops and 4-foot fencing on the east and west sides, along with access gates. This part of the project was originally estimated at $20,000. The quotes gathered thus far are in the $15,000 range, generating potential budgetary savings of $5,000. And actually, I can update that. I did sign the contract this week for the fencing, and it came to $14,150, so even less than 15. This added cost can also be accounted for this fiscal year via a combination of the capital expense line item 92015 sports courts in kind and the grant income line item 10160 sports courts state grant. And then you can see the on the packet the tables here showing the budget income for the sports court and the budget expense. And so right now you can see there's a remaining budget of actually with the revision of the court fencing at $14,150. The remaining budget is now $4,368.37. And we can use that for court paint, landscaping, pickleball nets, whatever comes up. It is possible that some of these added costs may need further budget approval in the next fiscal year. For instance, there's also the expense of the Six Rivers portable toilet too. The ADA accessible toilet will be installed there. BDM Construction began mobilizing during the first week of March. They brought in equipment and material and began grading the site immediately. Favorable weather allowed for rapid progress. The county planning and building inspector visited the site to inspect setbacks and forms on Thursday, March 12th. And the concrete pour actually occurred this week, Tuesday, March 17th. Consultant engineer Mike Bruno and I have been making daily site visits, also daily communication via email. He recommended that we wait a full 28 days after the concrete pour for the pad and footings to cure and achieve full strength before we install the fencing. He said the basketball poles can be installed after a week or so, but we may wait longer on that depending on Ben's schedule for construction. We don't want to have anyone trying to go in there and play while he's still working on the ADA parking or the sidewalk. So next steps are for us are to decide on court markings, which I've been working on with volunteer support. And that concludes my update on the sports court. Any questions?
No, it looks amazing. I'm really excited, and I do carpool with the kids, and they're all super amped. But I probably wouldn't put up any hoops until like Ben's done, because it's gonna be like calling.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that we should start looking at too is the use policy and coming up with a policy for that location, including occupancy. And I thought we already addressed that. We were just going to put up signs. Michelle was here that day. We were just going to put up signs that said the occupancy, and I thought that was already addressed. No?
Actually, Jessica and I have been in communication with our GSRMA risk management insurance representative just this week, and he's provided a lot of templates for signage.
Awesome.
So we'll be working on that. I think a policy or additional element to our fee use policy that can also be
Yeah,
incorporated.
and that's kind of what I'm referring to is like if there are certain events happening at the community center or at that location, like having like where the lines are drawn, so to speak, and what needs to be
Identified as
Yeah,
far as people
public
working together.
facilities policy that includes the golf course, the airstrip, the
Oh,
clubhouse. Yeah, we can include something in there for the sports.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to jump on that. I just thought we had like discovered that or discussed it in like that one meeting, so I just didn't want to go back, but I totally understand what you mean. Yeah, something in a folder. Okay.
All right, anybody else? Questions, comments? No? Public comment? Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Jack Carter, Shelter Cove. Thank you, actually. I'm really stoked to see everything happening. Got to see all the trucks cruising by the house on Tuesday, so knew what was going on. So stoked. Really, all I had to say is I didn't realize you'd already signed the contract, but I'd really like to encourage you to pushing that to 8 foot all the way around. I don't see a 4-foot fence being able to recover or stop balls. You've got pickleball going from the sides that you've got the 4-foot fencing. So, that's my only, suggestion. And I mean, doing it now, I would imagine that would only be, probably like maybe a quarter more on the cost or whatever. I don't know what the actual cost would be on it, but I think it's, a lot more advisable to keep it at 8 foot all the way around. It doesn't really make sense to have it drop down to 4 when you have a bouncing balls going everywhere. But yeah, my opinion.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Actually, I have a question. Just quickly, what color is that fence gonna be? Is it just gonna be a wire fence?
We opted for galvanized, so it won't have a color.
Okay, a little design trick. If you paint it black, it will look like there's nothing.
Yeah, we actually did get a quote for black colored fence.
Mhm.
The quote was like $4,000 higher. Like, okay.
I've done that before, but just saying it makes it look like there's nothing there. So if you did want to do an 8-foot fence, it wouldn't be so obstructive.
Yeah,
You
that was another big consideration for the 4 foot on the east and west.
Right.
Just because that's the view
Mhm.
side, and I didn't want to obstruct views.
Oh, I get it. But just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other public comment? No? Okay, let's move on. Special tax increase proposal update, Chris?
Okay, so, not sure how much we updated last month, but, Wes and I attended 2 K-Mud radio talk shows in February, in large part to promote the district's special tax increase proposal. Measure A, it's called. Working a little bit with Mike on signage and trying to get support on that. I submitted the argument in favor of Measure A statement and associated ballot argument statement form to the County Office of Elections as approved by the board at the last meeting. Moving forward, I still need to schedule town hall meetings to provide the community with a chance to ask questions and gain knowledge on the ballot measure. Initial thoughts are to have 2 such meetings, one in April and one in May before the June 2nd primary election. So I also attached to this report an updated talking points sheet for the tax measure, completed with informational graphs and charts to kind of help visualize the tax versus, for instance, utility rate increase or just the value of the dollar since the tax was instituted. I hope that helps maybe see what we're asking for and really how little it is. But yeah, I plan on scheduling the town hall in April. I'll ask Michelle Bushnell if she can come also, at least provide her support. And then, yeah, we'll advertise. It'll be like a special board meeting.
Okay, great. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, I just had a quick question on your chart. If I'm understanding it correctly. When you say the tax with inflation, that is if we had increased the original 1981 tax to track with inflation. That's what it would be, not what the new tax is going to be.
Correct.
Great. Okay. Perfect.
Is this town hall, like the whole board? Or what are we envisioning?
Yeah, yeah. It's like a special
A
meeting.
special meeting,
Yeah.
so it's not a town hall, it'd be a special meeting. That's what we would call it.
I don't know, I guess.
And then also, I think it'd be beneficial for us to get this maybe condensed a little bit and then like flyers. Can we make flyers? Is that allowed under the rules?
Flyers for?
For informational flyers for the public? Would that be, or is that?
You know, I would have to.
That's.
We would be using district resources and time and
Okay.
material.
And we're not.
Political. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that clarification.
Oh, calm down.
Calm down.
Which isn't to say that nonprofits or other groups couldn't do that. It's just
We can't.
as a resort improvement district, we can't
Oh, I
because we'd
see.
be advocating a political.
Oh, really? I was
Right.
wondering the same thing.
Yeah. So you could certainly go do that.
Yeah, I think I lost customers.
Right.
I did acquire some donations from friends of mine for some signage for out in the community. So any donations for that would be helpful.
You can clarify that with the county, because the county went around and basically educated on Measure O as well. You can educate the community on the tax, you can't campaign for it.
Right.
And so it's very clear how you go about that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I thought that they had little
Maybe.
pamphlets, so it would be education.
It's gotta be very clear how we do it, and I would reach out to more of an expert.
Okay.
I just was involved with it, so I know
Right.
they do that for a much bigger tax.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I do agree with Tasha. I think it would be nice if we could have an educational, just, because I do run into people that don't know about it and, maybe just having some eyes on it. They might not attend the town hall, but like I was saying to you, Chris, like they might be more used to the idea of the tax by the time June comes if they see it, think about it.
Anybody else? What comment? No? We're all done? Moving on. Board member staff reports. I got nothing. Usual. Gotcha.
Just with the Parks and Rec committee.
Yeah.
So that's first on this.
But yeah, I mean, I guess in February, Chris covered the meetings that we had for the tax, and then I've been trying to schedule with Tesha for a handoff for the wastewater treatment plant group, and then I got your email, Chief, and wasn't able to make it last night, obviously, but I'm planning on trying to get to it this next week.
I don't have much to report except visit Las Costas. They're doing the Storm Runner race next weekend. So if you're a runner, or I just sat by the sidelines of the Bell last year. It was really fun. But yeah, that's coming up. So we're trying to come up with more events for the Go too. So,
I attended really three Scarf and Scapoa, and I attended the golf committee meeting where Arlen Reed was appointed to their board. We really discussed about the 4th of July and then the golf events. So it was quite informative, and looking forward to 4th of July, looking forward for all the nonprofits to get involved, and it looks like it's going to happen.
Good. Great. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, I guess and then I also attended the SCARF planning, 4th of July planning meeting, and very excited about what they're coming up with and this project that is going to be quite the feat to pull off, but is moving us in the right direction of changing the culture of just a free-for-all celebration to more of a community-minded celebration. So super stoked about that.
Good. All right. Move on. Operational. Chris?
Yeah, I can start with the general manager's activities for February. Lots of sports courts progress. Ordered and received the required sign for the project. It's up there right now. That's a requirement of the grant, so we'll have to have that there for 4 years. Baird Engineering surveyed the site, gathered fence quotes, finalized design specifications, and submitted the first reimbursement request to the state grant board, which we have not received yet. Things go slow with the state. Worked with Travis, wastewater superintendent, to sign a contract with Engineering Solution Services for on-call grant writing assistance. He was really promoting that at the last meeting. Corresponded with Verizon representatives on the tower extension project at Kelly Road, finalized the lease contract, and representatives visited the site to conduct the permit required testing. So that ball is still rolling. Worked on the budget, continuing to work on the budget. We'll have our first budget advisory committee meeting with the board and staff next week. The board representatives. Attended multiple online meetings with Moonshot Missions consultants. One with them and the Cadmus and Jacobs engineers to review their preliminary engineering reports for the water tank and water treatment plant replacement projects. They also met with them and FEMA hazard mitigation grant representatives regarding the project to replace just the 4 oldest water tanks. And we learned that the district is only eligible for this grant if retrofitting the tanks, not replacing them. And the engineers' analyses favor replacing the tanks. So we withdrew our application from that program. Then I met with them also to begin a new application with the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund to replace the tanks. And that's actually later on in the board packet. We'll talk about that. This would be a low interest loan option with the possibility of future principal forgiveness. In other words, grant. Board member Wes and I went to KMUD in Redway a couple times, promote special tax increase. Continue to research health insurance plans and presented multiple options to staff, and that'll also be coming up later. Scheduled mold abatement at the community clubhouse with the contractor for mid-May. Scheduled a 2-day strategic planning training workshop for senior staff and the board in early May. So plans for the next few months: continue to work on the budget, continue to work with staff, the contractor, and the consultant engineer in the sports courts project. Campaign for the tax measure proposal, and begin IBEW MOU negotiations, and continue the process to change the district's health insurance provider, and also continue seeking out grant funding opportunities for the water plant, for water tanks, and the community clubhouse. And that concludes my February activities.
Okay, so for February, we have a lot of annual reports that are due at the beginning of the year. So we've been spending a lot of time working on these reports, which we still have a couple left to complete by the end of this month. But so far we completed our hazardous materials reporting on behalf of the electrical and wastewater department. We also did our EIA, the Energy Administration report on electrical revenue usage, number of customers, and the possessory interest report to the Humboldt County Assessor's Office, and a report to the Department of Toxic Substance Control Hazardous Waste Management Program. We also implemented the digital work order system that came with the billing software. So staff are able to create a work order in the system, and it will notify staff that there is a project or a read or whatever the case might be that needs to be completed, and then they can sign off that we completed it with notes to the office staff on what happened. And then that ties it to the customer's account within the billing system so that you can see the history of what may have happened with the meter, for example. We've also been spending time on the budget, looking at it line by line, looking at it for any special projects we might want to complete, which for this year, the administrative department would like to enhance our district website to meet the ever-changing ADA guidelines for compliance. We've also been training our new accounting administrator, Graham, and she's doing very well. And during February, we also had a problem with the billing software. It was on the program's end for the payment portal. It was giving an error message to people that their payment did not go through, but in fact it did, and several customers tried multiple times, which resulted in multiple payments. So we had to wait for the company to fix it and then address all of our customers and how they wanted that handled, and then engage refunds or apply it towards their future billing. So that actually took quite a bit of time. But that's pretty much it for February, and still upcoming, we're still looking at options for different vendors. So.
All right. You want to do water and electrical?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take over. Travis is busy with the Hillside Drive water main securing, and John's out there in the bucket truck clearing our power lines of vegetation. So I'll cover water, wastewater, power generation, and parks and rec. So in the water department, they painted the W2 well house enclosure on Willow Glen Road. They troubleshot the dick tank, booster pump, SCADA pack wiring to the main panel, calibrated all the turbidimeters at the water plant. They completed numerous state required reports. You could list a full list of them there. I need to run them all down. We actually just received our NPDES permit renewal draft, which is every 5 years from the State Water Board. So Travis and I will be going over that carefully. Kind of dictates how we operate our wastewater system for the next 5 years. They transferred polymer at the water plant, backwashed filters at the water plant. They greased the ox ditches at the wastewater plant, fabricated new dam boards for the water plant intake. fixed a couple of leaks in the Omar distribution system. There's a photo there of a service lateral leak and a water main break in the dick tank distribution system. And then they submitted the W3 well permit to the state water boards for use. So hopefully come late summer, fall, we can actually start using that new well we just installed. And then it says employee went to Santa Rosa for grade 3 wastewater test. I can report that Travis did pass his grade 3 wastewater exam, so he is now officially a grade 3 wastewater operator. He can be the superintendent for sure now. No longer interim. They troubleshot and repaired the Joe booster pump station, and then replaced the Joe well chlorination check valve. So that concludes water wastewater. I'll jump to power generation and distribution. As what John and the crew are doing right now, they spent much time working on line clearance, tree trimming. They serviced the big chipper, and there was one outage on the tie line. I don't know if people remember, but it was extended. The whole code was out for, I think it was about 30 minutes. And that was because of a malfunction on the generators. At the generator plant, the doors did not open, and the generators will not run with the doors closed. So the staff figured out there was a problem with the batteries and the door controllers, and then they replaced the batteries, and then we have to order new controllers because these are obsolete. And then in Parks and Rec, staff continued upper culvert repair work on the fitness trail. There's a photo there. They replaced batteries in the community clubhouse front door lock, mowed around the community clubhouse and golf course, and then installed that Prop 68 sports court grant sign. February activities. Questions?
No, I just wanted to congratulate and welcome Brooke for starting the new position, and I know that new system, and Jessica, just thank you for working through that again this month and for taking the time to contact the customers. I think they probably really appreciated that. So yeah.
Definitely been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we're going forward.
Let's talk about it. All right, so February 26th was actually the busiest February we've ever had. So for a bunch of different reasons, a lot of medical aids you guys see in the report, a lot of ellipsis, kind of everything in between. And we've kind of seen that trend. So March is a little bit lower than normal. That could still pick up. You never really know. However, the weather is changing. Obviously, we've seen nice, sunny, summer-like days. I don't think it gets much nicer or warmer out here than we're seeing right now. That causes a bunch of different changes to the fuel, and we'll see prolonged weather like this is going to affect our fire season or not. They're already talking about in LA, having unprecedented heat waves and stuff like that all the way up to the Bay Area. So last year we got really lucky, not a single named fire, which is usually a fire over 1/8 of an acre, where fires that CAL FIRE has to get involved with. So we'll see if we can have that happen 2 years in a row. So fire department is preparing for that. We're in our training part of our year right now. As you guys read in the report, we did a ton of training in the last 2 months. Engineer TC Peasley went up to Eureka for 3 weeks in a row, basically, with a little week in between for the fire investigator class. That's a really, really big deal for us. We've never had a trained fire investigator on the arson side. So Jack and I have basic investigating class as part of our company officer series, but the full class is a separate one. He basically got full 3-week, really, really down and dirty course, and then had to go to the courthouse and do some training scenarios and arson investigation and arson trials with a real judge and prosecutors and everything. So really excited he made it through the full thing, and we're really proud of him on that. Chief Hargrave and I both went to instructor 1 and 2 for the state fire marshal level. Again, week-long classes up in Eureka. And then we've got just finished up our fire academy. So that was 24 recruits. We had 6 from Shelter Cove, which was a big deal from us, including 3 RID employees, which is always nice to have our employees available to respond to those when we need them. This coming weekend, and then the weekend after that, we have a medical training with 40 people coming out of Shelter Cove. So a lot of training going on right now. Still doing our grants. It's really exciting. The USDA grant just pulled up the live numbers. We've got 367 homes treated out of our 500 goal. That's for 2 years. We have 2 more years to do that. And we anticipated early on that we'd have 200 vacant homes or homes that we need to abate. So we're basically taking a list right now of people that haven't signed up yet and reaching out to them again, or people that just don't know or haven't heard about the project or don't want us to be part of the project, which then they'll go on a separate list for that last year, try and work with them to get that done. Our homes have always been the priority. So, if we can get to 500 out of 700 structures, not just homes, we'll be doing pretty well with that. And then we had 1,700 vacant lots sign up out of the 3,000 that we needed. So more than expected, but we've received probably another 1,000 return letters from the letters that we sent out where the addresses just weren't accurate. People have moved, people don't own a lot. Goes back to the absentee property owner problem we have in Shelter Cove and how difficult it is to get anything done on a large landscape scale. So that's why we did the abatement list last year. We are also doing the contract for that. So we have basically 700 acre contracts as part of that initial round. We have to wait for the bird nesting season to be over. There's no way of getting around that. California bird nesting laws are not just CEQA, they're fish and game laws. So we had to push that off to August 1st, basically between March and August. So we could have had a biologist go on every single section of places we wanted to work, which was 3,000 lots, or we wait until August, and we're still going to be cognizant of bird nests. We still have to avoid them, but we don't have to have work stops and everything else like that. So currently, we did also do 40 acres of greenbelt has been retreated. So for the Parks and Rec folks, that's a really good time to go hike those lands because they're nice and treated right now. So within a year, we'll start to see a little bit of regrowth in the brush. But any fuel break that we've done in the past, any CAL FIRE crew work that we've done, we retreated those. And we're working on the nature trail right now with the Bryson Fire Fuels crew. So that's being done through trees. I walked with them. We flagged up all the plants and all the little native plant cards that they have there to make it a really nice trail and just to clean it up for more fire safety. So they're actively working on that. And then hopefully we'll be working on the rest of the greenbelt that's never been treated before. Basically 100 foot off the private property line, that contract's going on right now. So again, have to wait for the bird. So anything that's been treated previously, all the brush is removed, everything's off the ground, it's very easy to see any signs of birds. We're doing those ones right now, but we're not going to be doing the non-treated in the past. We got to wait for that because it's a lot of brush, a lot of low limbs, a high probability of affecting bird nests during that season. So, but that's going to get going again August 1st, right in the middle of fire season, and then it actually justifies the abatement since it is a fire threat at that time. Legally, it makes it a lot easier for me to abate as the fire chief for a fire nuisance on that. So. Share the garage in the back is hopefully getting wiring in the next 2 months. That's a big deal for us right now. We're doing extension cords and what we can to make that work. Again, just time and money getting these projects fully done, and really excited to see that. Once that's done, we'll see the ramps going in, and we're going to keep one loading dock so we can play. We just had our jet ski and quads and everything. It's really, really nice to have the loading dock. We don't have any other one in Shelter Cove, so in order to be able to just drive things to the back of the truck is nice. And then we'll have 2 more ramps coming off the back of that. We do have our tsunami drill. Our annual tsunami walk is going to be next Wednesday at 12 o'clock. You'll hear the sirens go off. All of our sirens right now are in various states. We got 1 battery that we need to replace, and then everything will be fully functional. So we only get to do a full power test twice a year. So we'll have this one next week, and then we'll have our fire evacuation drill. I think it's in May, 2nd week in May, I believe. And then we just kind of do maintenance on year round. We have $1,000 maintenance for it. They're very low maintenance. However, they are getting older in age. So I think we bought them in 13, 14, and then installed them in 15. So it's something to start looking at as we go forward. And then also expanding the program out. We do have a couple of dead zones where it's not as easy to hear with that system. So. And now we've got 6 new recruits that we're trying to get all trained up before fire season, and all the apparatus and keep in service. Our little red Type 6 that runs all of our calls is up for its 5-year maintenance right now in Eureka. So we've been without that for the last week and a half, and hopefully when it comes back, it'll be ready to go for another 4 or 5 years with little to no maintenance. So we're hoping no more problems on that truck. Any questions?
None from me. Board?
No, it's a good job, and I'm glad you're talking about the bird nesting and all of that,
Yeah.
just following all the rules. I
Yeah, having
appreciate that.
trees as part of our partners. is
Yeah,
interesting.
I
It's definitely
super
not my
appreciate
forte.
Any other questions from the board? Comments? No public comment on any of these reports? Arlen?
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a question about the wastewater utility, what the spike was.
Yeah, that, on the flow chart? you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah, that was that day, I think we had 10 inches of rain, 10.5 inches of rain in one day.
We're
24 hour
still
period.
going into the.
Yeah, that's a reflection of the inflow and infiltration into the sewer system.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, we'll move on. Action items. Just have a question for you on action item 1. Do you want a motion first or after it's done?
I guess do the motion.
Do the motion first and then I'll do the presentation? Action item 1. Adoption of resolution 2606, 2025 Shelter Cove Volunteers of the Year, Mark Mitchell and Nancy Mitchell. I'll do a presentation after we get our vote back.
Do we have to do public comment?
I guess we could, but let's hear from the board first. Anyone got anything they want to say?
So I know for my part, I don't know if this is on, Mark and Nancy were very welcoming to my wife and I when we came to the Cove 4 years ago. And my wife is a very talented artist, even though she's not really kind of more the traditional landscape style artist that we get a lot in these beautiful areas. And they've just been very welcoming to her and to us. And, from a personal note, we really appreciate that.
Anybody else? We'll go to public comment. Is there any public comment before I do the presentation? Public comment? All right.
So now, do we do the motion?
Yeah, let's do a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2606, 2025 Shelter Cove Volunteers of the Year from Mark Mitchell and Nancy Mitchell for their.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Wes Bondline?
Aye.
Josh Kushein?
Aye.
Kristen Sanders?
Aye.
Jeff Hildreth?
Aye.
Mike Mallory?
Aye. Motion carries. Mark and Nancy, want to come up here? Is this thing working? No?
I think it is. I think they just turned the volume down so we wouldn't get the reverb.
So I'll get through this quickly. Again, you guys have done a lot over the last however many years you've been here, but it says the Shelter Cove community has richly benefited from dedicated volunteers who generously donate their time, talent, and efforts to fill the growing needs of our fellow residents and visitors. And Mark and Nancy have contributed countless hours to the improvement of Shelter Cove community, and Mark and Nancy, along with Mike Caldwell, created a nonprofit corporation, Shelter Cove Arts and Recreation Foundation in 2012, a group dedicated to promoting arts, recreation, and mindfulness with the aim of enhancing the quality of life for residents and visitors of Shelter Cove. And Mark has served as president and Nancy as treasurer and financial manager for SCARF since its inception. SCARF has developed and helped maintain 3 nature hiking trails, a children's garden, a labyrinth, a baseball field, an art gallery, and a quilt field that holds yearly quilt shows, and has sponsored 3 hugely successful plein air events and provided community with many free art classes, and in partnership with California Bureau of Land Management and Friends of the Lost Coast has helped sponsor the King Range National Conservation Area Artist in Residence program. Mitchells throughout the years have been involved in numerous pioneer events and volunteered as members of the Shelter Cove Emergency Response Team since 2013. Mark has volunteered at the Cape Mendocino Lighthouse, at Shelter Cove as a docent, and is a longtime board member of the Shelter Cove Property Owners Association. It is fitting that the RID Board of Directors recognize Mark and Nancy Mitchell's volunteerism, hard work, passion, and love for the Shelter Cove community. Now, therefore, it be resolved by the Board of Directors of the RID that we do hereby recognize Mark and Nancy Mitchell on being named Volunteers of the Year for your selfless dedication to the Shelter Cove community. Thank you. Want to say a few words?
When does Mark?
I don't really know what words to say at this point. I think Mike took care of all of them. like to say is thank you to the grid board. I want to thank the community for all the support that they've given SCARF, because we couldn't have done those type of things. And I want to thank, I'm sure I'm going to forget other people, so that's why my wife is standing here to fill me in. What else am I forgetting? She's forgotten it too. Anyway, it's been a pleasure doing all this. We're still doing things. This Saturday is the first of the 8 classes that are going on. That we got the grant from the California State, whatever it is, Department of Culture or whatever. Ironically, we got the check yesterday. We've already been spending money on it all for the last several months, but we got the check to pay for things, so that'll help out quite a bit. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for all that they've done to help. The board has helped a lot. The board is talking about the grid board approving things like what we did. We mentioned the trail, the Franklin Trail. All those things went through approval properly, and thank you for doing all that. Thanks for just supporting us.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you.
I would just like to say a couple things. I would like to encourage people to volunteer. The rewards are amazing. Mark and I have spent a lot of time and effort, but the rewards we receive in return for that is very enriching to your life. So I would encourage the public to spend an hour doing something to help your neighbors. This is a tradition in my family to volunteer. My grandparents did. Mark's grandfather was the man of the year for volunteering in San Mateo County, very long time ago. So it's kind of really fitting and wonderful for him to have this honor this year. My family also always volunteered, but the most important thing is my sons volunteer, so the tradition continues.
Wonderful.
I would like to thank Wes for doing he's going to be helping with the first class on falcons and birds on Saturday. So it'd be a great opportunity to go out and see that this Saturday at the community clubhouse. And we are planning a really fantastic 4th of July. But we will need some help. So we hope you will help us volunteer for that activity. Thank you very much for this. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
you.
Before we move on, there was a comment online I missed. Jerry Jackson, would you like to speak up now?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, and hopefully you can hear me. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
We can hear you.
I want to add my congratulations and full support to Mark and Nancy. I mean, if you think about it, they've done over a half dozen major projects here in the Cove, got them done quickly, efficiently. I mean, ranging from the trails that they've done to the labyrinth to their art gallery. I mean, I go around the Cove and there's so many things that SCARF and therefore Mark and Nancy have touched and done and envisioned and implemented that, if we had a decade award, they would get that. So congratulations. I want to offer to Mark and Nancy, well done, and certainly you folks deserve it. So thank you very much, and I'm sorry for the late comment.
Thank you, Jerry. Is that it, Chris?
That's it.
All right. Congratulations, Mark and Nancy. Move on. Action item number 2. Consider modifications to Board Policy 1020, Conflict of Interest, first reading.
Yes.
Chris?
Background, the Political Reform Act requires local government agencies to review their conflict of interest code every 2 years and determine if revisions to the code are necessary. The board last reviewed and approved this policy in July of 2024. Since then, the conflict of interest topic has taken on a significant role in board decisions. This update to the code is designed to clarify any potential future issues, like the one that the board just experienced with the sports courts construction project in particular. In the process of updating the code, I used other organizations' existing conflict of interest codes as templates. And I listed these organizations here, including CSDA, the IRS, Pine Cove Water District, San Juan Water District, and Silver Creek Valley Country Club. So in discussion, I know this question will probably come up, but I did not send this vision to legal, so that can happen between now and the second reading. Any comments, suggestions?
That's the only one I would have. Jessica?
Yeah, that's the only, or not the only, I would like to have legal, look over this particular policy. And then I didn't see any language in this that just also, and maybe it doesn't belong in it, I'm not sure. But, if a conflict arises, I would like legal counsel sought. And we don't have anything in here that says to do so.
Anybody else?
Okay, some comments on this. No? Okay. So I think, starting at 1020.30, one of the questions that I would have for legal counsel is to make sure that this doesn't impose a higher standard than what's already required by California law, because some of the language in there, I just wanted to make sure that that was in line with that, and that we aren't doing, like a federal IRS standard. I know that you listed the IRS, and I think that they have a higher standard than, we necessarily would, because we don't deal with people's taxes in that same way. And then you had members of the district board of directors, committees, and staff. And, you and I have talked a lot about kind of making sure that defined terms are sort of maintained throughout. And I know that you added the committees into this, which I think was a great addition. And I just want to make sure that, in terms of the way that we manage those defined terms is consistent throughout. I would like to see, 1020.50, you mentioned that there's be disclosed before any transaction is consummated. I'd like to see that have a little bit better of a definition rather than any transaction is consummated. The existence or suspected, anyway, it's a little vague is all there, and I'd like to see that. Oh, and then there's the, in Appendix B, there's the standard for the district's jurisdiction or within 2 miles of any property owned or used by the district. So that's the definition of the district based on kind of the geographical space that it has, and then 2 miles out from that, or I guess I wasn't entirely clear on that either.
Yeah, I'll have to research that. I know that was existing language in the code. I will clarify
Third
that.
of the code.
Yeah, I'll clarify that with.
Yeah, because it seems like it's, that's anybody that runs any kind of business anywhere, I think.
Yeah, when I was doing with the FPPC, they said 500 feet was the scope of influence.
That was my understanding too.
Yeah. So that 2 miles seems a bit extreme.
Okay, 2 miles outside of district boundaries.
I think so. But that's the thing is, like, it seems unclear if it's any 2 miles from any facility constitutes. I live kind of at the edge-ish of the thing, and I'm, a mile and a half from the ocean. So like that's, as the crow flies, right? So that's not, that's almost the whole cove. So, and then I guess I was a little confused by another one of the sections, 1020.40.1, kind of the second half of there, exists, or that the conflict, if it exists, is material enough to be of practical importance, or if material, that upon full disclosure of all relevant facts and circumstances, it is necessarily adverse to the interests of the district. That was a very confusing sentence to me, and so I was maybe hoping that you could kind of clean that up a little.
This could probably go through 3 revisions, I think. Considering legal, we'll have to review it and then changes to those.
Yeah, and that, again, not legal advice, just stuff I was confused about in the way that it was worded, so.
Most agencies, community services districts, cities districts, they use what we had before. It's pretty much a standard template, but I wanted to add all these elements in to kind of help us guide us through issues that might arise that we experienced earlier this year or last year. But yeah, I'll send this to legal.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else on the board? No? Go to public comment? Public comment? Conflict of interest code, first reading? No? All right. We don't need a motion.
We do.
We do need a motion for first reading?
Gotta bring it back.
Oh, okay. I get a motion.
I'll make a motion to review District Policy 1020, the Conflict of Interest Code, and with revisions and given to legal counsel to bring back next month for second reading.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Kristen Sanders. Mike Solari.
Aye.
Trustee Shane.
Aye.
Jeff Bonham.
Aye.
Jeff Hilder.
Aye.
Motion carries. Bring that back next month. Moving on. Action item number 3, consider California Special Districts Association Board of Directors call for nominations to serve as independent special district board member, seat C of the Northern Network. Chris?
Yeah, so this comes up every 2 years or so. So right now it's seat C. 2 years ago it was seat B, and I remember Wes volunteered to run against that one. So you can see the attached notice. There is a financial impact with this prospect. The potential board member will have to attend 2 required CSDA conferences per year and complete all 4 modules of CSDA Special District Leadership Academy. So there will be some time and material involved with that. I guess it would be up to you if you want to nominate anyone on the board.
Anybody interested? Wes, you interested again?
I am. I just unfortunately don't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
No, sir.
No? Kristen?
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm down the whole list here. Tasha?
No, I don't have the time for this.
I don't have the time.
Tasha, I was hopeful for you on that one.
I think I've completed the modules, but I'm not able to travel.
I'm kind of on board. This is also open to general managers, but I'd like to keep my focus here.
Yeah. Okay, good. Who's interested? No one? Any public comment on that? Our inability to want to volunteer further? No? Okay, let's move on to action item number 4, adoption of resolution 2607, authorized representative resolution for the Shelter Cove water tank replacement project. Chris?
Yes, I mentioned a little bit about this in the GM report. This was after my working with Moonshot Missions consultants on the FEMA hazard mitigation grants did not work out, so we moved on to this one. So this is a grant or loan from the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, DWSRF. And specifically, it's for the Shelter Cove water tank replacement project. Just for background, we have 4 1965 era water tanks, welded steel water tanks still out there, and they're in pretty rough shape right now. The typical lifespan of that kind of infrastructure is about 50 years. These are 60+ years old. So part of the process requires that the district board pass a resolution authorizing the submission of an application and designating an officer who can sign the documents and file them with the State Water Resources Control Board. Right now, the DWSRF program only offers low-interest loans, which are the best option available short of a grant. Per the latest intended use plan, the standard interest rate is 1.8 to 2.0% with a 30-year repayment period. Although because the district is classified as a severely disadvantaged community, additional benefits may apply, such as a reduced interest rate to 0%, extended repayment terms, and priority consideration for principal forgiveness. Currently, only failing systems are eligible for grant funding from this program, though it is possible that grant funding may become available to non-failing systems upon the annual release of the IUP this fall. The goal is to get the district onto the IUP list. The district can then determine when to move forward with the project and into the loan phase, which may come with varying levels of principal forgiveness or grant. Applying for funding from the DWSRF does not mean that the district is signing up for an immediate loan. There are a lot of steps and contracts that the state and the district would have to go through before accepting the loan terms. Plus, the only way for the district to know the exact interest rate, repayment terms, or potential for principal forgiveness is to apply for the funding and be assigned a project manager from the SWRCB. Right now, Moonshot Missions is recommending a planning project instead of construction. This will make the water tank replacement project shovel-ready and better for applying for a construction project afterward. This is also a more inexpensive and attainable prospect for this funding source. For instance, the engineer's estimate for the construction project to replace the 4 water tanks is $3,337,000. And then you can see in the following table that the project proposal with associated costs, and I know I met with Tristan on this, and these are very preliminary, highly subject to change. This is just what the engineers have initially estimated. Once it goes to the water boards, things get negotiated, and then we can also negotiate in-house for some of the elements, such as project management. So you can see the amount of assistance requested is almost $800,000, which is the engineer's estimate for the initial planning phase to replace the district's 4 oldest water tanks, Wes, Dick, John, and Omar. So the recommendation is to adopt Resolution 2607, authorized representative resolution for the Shelter Cove water tank replacement project. And yeah, just to clarify, also this resolution is not it's basically just assigning the general manager as the authorized representative to sign for the application. So it's not applying for the loan exactly yet. That's much down the road. Just getting the ball started.
All right.
All right, any questions?
Questions? Anybody?
I mean, I guess I'll start because I felt like I had a lot of questions about this. I mean, I'm okay with you being like the person who signs documents and submits them to the SWRCB. I mean, I think that's obvious. You're the GM. I was just a little, I guess I was just wondering why we're trying to replace all 4 tanks right now and getting just, I mean, I understand, like, okay, when we did the 6 tanks you were telling me, and it was like an SDA grant, and we did have to get a loan to do all the engineering plans, and that all made sense to me. I guess I was just wondering why we're trying to replace these tanks when they are technically not failing according to California state standards. I thought maybe taking on 1 tank at a time seemed a little bit more, I don't know, it just seemed like it made more sense to me. It just seemed like if our tanks are not failing, I mean, and then the other thing is like, we could wait until some of these tanks did fail, and then we're instantly, we can get grant funding, which is like free funding. And you do see this in a lot of, state or county sort of ways of running business, is you kind of just keep an eye on things, and then as they fail, then you go and apply for the grants. I guess I was just a little bit taken aback by getting a loan to get a project shovel ready when we're just going to be applying for a loan in a sense and like hoping for forgiveness. I've just seen like in the past that the RID has spent a lot of money on just getting plans ready, and then we never use them. And so that was like my one. I was just like, what is this? And I just don't want to see that happen again.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Chris, inform me about it. If a tank fails, what does that do to our system? And again, also addressing Nick on that same question.
Yeah. Tank fails, well, we lose the storage for that particular distribution system. These 4 tanks, of the 4 tanks, Wes serves the largest number of customers, probably about 140 customers. The other 3 tanks serve maybe about 30 to 50 customers each. So what we'd have to do is probably quickly install temporary tanks, like poly tanks. It would not be enough storage, definitely not for fire or water main break situations. It's possible we could use upper tanks. However, 2 of these 4 tanks are the topmost tanks. There is no upper tank to drop down into that system with pressure reducing, but he would not be able to get the proper flow for emergencies or main breaks. And then we'd of course have to issue boil water notices. That would lose pressure in the systems. It would be a big problem.
And that could be a huge fire hazard too. I mean, look what happened down south.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with what Tristan said as far as that is a pretty standard governmental process for how to replace things. Unfortunately, right now, is the county roads, for example, is wait till they fail and then try and fix them to get that money. A lot of times that is a prolonged process. And so trying to get it in some financially responsible or fiscally responsible way is going to be what we have to do. I do want to remind the board that we do have a new policy on projects. So you guys have the ability to ask staff questions that then we have to answer within that project description, and this project with the size that's going to fit into that. So reviewing that grant and big project policy that was done last year is going to be really important to hopefully mitigate some of those questions you guys have, and then also prompt staff to look at different options for these projects. So unfortunately, the water system out here is in the world of the 1960s. Our hydrant system is very robust. Again, we have those hydrants of anywhere south of Fortuna. That being said, it is very vulnerable right now to a bunch of different things. So the state minimum might not be the best target to shoot for when it comes to our water system. However, legally it does work for us. I am pretty worried about the seismic issues we have with our older tank. When you upgrade a tank, you get upgraded seismic protections and standards. And that's what I think our biggest issue is going to be. We did see those tanks shift quite a bit in the last couple of earthquakes. Fire hazard wise, we're working on hardening them. Part of the USDA grants, we're going around and doing fuel reduction around all this infrastructure. Money's a big thing. We've talked about it a lot, and hopefully we can find some other grants. I think the fire side does help with those grants, and that's something I got to tie in with Travis on to make sure we're utilizing the correct narratives to help with that, to find different routes. We've seen what Whitethorn's doing as far as fish. They're getting a lot of grants based off fish protection, not just drinking water or emergency stuff. So, but yeah, I do think we need to start focusing on mitigating some of those problems. We've seen hydrant failures, not so much from lack of water, but just general infrastructure aging out. Some of our valves and some of our pipes, the connectors are getting older too. So it's going to be a topic of concern for a while. We've got to start mitigating.
Well, my next question too is, when you say failure, how much damage can be done if one of those things fails?
Well,
Right? I mean, again, they hold a lot of water.
Yeah, actually, the John tank, I think, is about 225,000 gallons of water. So if that ruptured, I imagine it would create quite a washout there.
Right, so there's a lot of damage to go with it. I mean, there's one way being proactive. I have to agree with Tristan on the floor replacement, but seems like the west is the one that needs to be first if it's the one that's providing most of the water to the homes. Out of those 4 tanks, which is the worst one?
I would say John tank, the one you
What I looked at,
with the elephant's footing on the bottom.
and it looks like it could blow anytime.
Yeah.
But it also reduces your capability of what you can store in it, right? Because aren't you only at half full anyway because of that potential failure?
No, I'm not aware. I think they keep it full.
My understanding was they couldn't keep it full because of that potential for a rupture. I might be wrong.
Yeah, so prioritizing based on funding. If we get a grant, obviously we go for everything, but we're going to be out of pocket. I mean, all these things need to come before the board anyway, so we can discuss it. So all we're doing is assigning a signature for things moving forward.
Yeah, there would be more board presentations.
Yes.
As we go on this funding project.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think what we're dealing with today is just having Chris being recognized as the signee. In my opinion, deferring the maintenance on these tanks any longer is a detriment to the community.
I agree.
I'd rather be proactive, reactive.
And I just would want to say, like, maybe we should just look at, I guess what I'm saying is we should have like a couple of options, not just moonshot missions. What else can we do? Like, working with other partners and people and just spreading out our options, kind of slow playing it a little bit.
Yeah, I was really surprised by the cost to get these spots shovel ready. I mean, we've got, almost $550,000 worth of engineering and environmental field studies. That seems really high for a relatively small footprint for these projects. I'm not an engineer, so there may be more to it that I'm not seeing. And so I think maybe getting a better understanding of these costs would be valuable. The loan that you're talking about potentially getting, is it just for this $800,000 worth of engineering, or is it for the full amount for all the water tanks? So would it be just the planning and engineering?
All in mind, it's not going to be 800,000. That's just how it's being presented in the application. And then once we get the water board's project manager, it'll be refined down.
Okay. And then I know that in your report, you said that you're also looking at other grants. So now that we have that group on board that Travis was working with for the wastewater treatment, are you going to be reaching out to them as well?
Yeah, we actually already had one online meeting with them. They were looking at a few potential other grants, also other projects. We're actually, for them, I really like to push forward the project for replacing all of our water meters. I think we have a good potential to increase revenue actually if we replace our water meters without having to increase rates, for instance. Old meters fail on behalf of the customer. They under-register as they get older based on moving parts inside the water meters. And the new water meters are digital. Not only will they read more accurately, but they will allow customers to access more information on their usage, look at graphs, things like that through our portal. So that's the project I'd really like to see go forward with them.
Okay. I mean, I would love to see if they have other opinions on other potential grants for this too, because they seem to be pretty well tied into a lot of the grant ecosystem there, where they could find some other ways. Because I mean, I looked at Moonshot Missions a bit, and they're a big company. They're a national firm. They work with really large universities. They work with really large municipalities. I mean, $800,000 for engineering and planning is scales beyond what we're kind of,
I can definitely
in the realm of. And so, and going for these large federal grants is great. But I think that, looking at the grants that, Fort Bragg got is a useful thing to do, and things like that, where there are other opportunities where we're not the University of Georgia redoing their water system, which is, one of the things that they've worked on, which is fantastic. It's great that they have that experience, but they need to understand the scale and the size of what we're trying to do.
And they did visit us in early 2025. They've seen us. They know where we're at.
Have they seen our budget?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, this is a healthy chunk of our budget.
It'll be a 30-year loan if this is going to go.
Yeah, I know, but it's still.
Forgiveness, so we don't.
Maybe.
But we've seen how quickly the political environment on forgiveness and grants can change. And if those grants were loans, we would be in a much different situation.
Well, I have to agree with what Tristan said too. We also have a shovel-ready set of plans for a community center that we spent a couple $100,000 on. And where's that going with us? So again, I think we need to be proactive, not reactive, as far as the tanks and failure. But we have to be very prudent.
I agree. Also, I can clarify a little bit from the follow-up email from the Moonshot Missions representatives, like what this all entails. That each site will require site-specific verification. They mentioned in the engineering, geotechnical conditions, seismic criteria, grading, drainage, access, constructability, utility tie-ins, and code standard updates. So that's just to provide a little bit of what they're looking at for each site. For instance, John Tank, the access is very difficult. It's a very windy, one-lane dirt road. I don't know exactly how that's gonna happen, but it was put there to begin with, so it must be possible.
I mean, but that's, I mean, that's not the engineering part. That's the installation. That's the construction part. So this 800 grand wouldn't even be looking at that and, getting it helicoptered in or however it is you're going to do it. Right. So, I mean, that's great, but for moonshot missions, but that's not very reassuring for us looking at 800 grand for design.
Yeah, that's what one of my concerns was too, is like water tanks usually come with a pre-design. It doesn't have to totally be re-engineered. I talked to Joel. I wish he was here today, but he's at work. And, he puts in water systems all over Northern California. He helped do the pond off Redwood Creek. I mean, that was a big project, like a pond, these are just like tanks. And yeah, so I was just wondering, like, if these were already have been here forever, do we have to go through CEQA and botanical studies and all that? Like, I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah, the standards have changed.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, that's more, I think, on the operational side. And of course, we're going to follow the law on what is necessary. And, while this is a large sum of money for just the planning of it, when you look at our infrastructure and even in other small towns, this is the cost of doing business. And I think it's prudent for us to at least make a site, have Chris, the GM, has the signee, so we can at least start this process and then get more down into the weeds when we're looking at how to replace all 4 tanks. That they do need to be replaced. I think waiting for a disaster is, again, I think even the county is looking at how that has served them, and they're still playing catch up on having to waiting to get reimbursed for money they've had to put out during an emergency. So I would like to move forward on just having Chris be the signee, and of course everything is going to come to the board as appropriate, and then we can discuss and get into the weeds on whether or not we're doing 1 tank at a time or looking at it as a whole picture. I know where I kind of would like to see us looking at the cove as a whole picture rather than piecemealing everything, but I realize that's just me, but that's not where we're at right now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, though. I think, the whole picture is probably a better option than one piecing it, but I'd have to see the specifics.
Yeah. Also, I can read this a little bit from their, the Moonshot Missions representatives. They say, by signing this resolution, the district is not agreeing to take out a loan for this amount. This budget will be refined before a planning funding agreement is signed, as the district will need to advertise to contractors for this work to be completed. The goal is to get an incomplete application submitted to the Division of Financial Assistance so that we can be assigned a project manager. It's a little bit of a sticker shock seeing that number, but it will get refined.
Just to remind the board, we did a large project like this fairly, not that long ago. So go back and look at some of those files or requests from staff with the Kennedy tank. That was the biggest tank we had, and we went through the exact same process. So that will give us some numbers to look at. I know as far as CEQA goes, you can't get CEQA exemptions on stuff when you're not, like a lot of our tanks don't have a lot of vegetation around them. So there are processes to that, but again, we got to look at our history when we've done these projects before and go back. A lot of these grant agencies won't know that unless we bring it up or they go back.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Any other questions? Board? Public comment? Public comment? Yes, ma'am? Yes, sir? You guys just line up at the podium and speak your piece.
Just have 2 things. One is that can't kick it down, especially when you're talking about trying to raise taxes for our infrastructure. So to get it on there. And then the other is, I totally agree about the engineering specs. It worked 65 years. Just get the original engineering. Save yourself some money.
Oh, that's not a bad idea.
So as you all were talking up here, I just did a quick research on some grants. There are tons for this. One specifically, there's an E-Fate infrastructure funding. that just got passed. There's 454 million announced for California water infrastructure in one round. It said this is timing sensitive. No, now's the window. There's also the DWSRF, and they will actually cover 50 to 100%. And there's USDA rural development for disadvantaged communities, populations under 10,000, which is us. And they also have pre-developed grants to pay for engineering and stuff. So I don't think we need to take out a loan. And some of these grants do also offer 0% loan. So I'm all for, I think we shouldn't do one. I think we should try to find a plan to do them all at once and then try to find the funding to get there. Because taking out a loan and raising our tax dollars, nobody wants that, but we can get maybe free money if we.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. That's an idea too.
Yeah, I'm honestly really disappointed that Moonshot Missions, that this is the best option they came up with, as much time as we've spent with them.
Staff's reviewed a lot of those grants too, and it goes back to the federal ones, where they just want to repurpose tanks. They don't want to replace them. So that's we've even dealt with that on the fire side about the federal grants giving us stipulations that don't exactly meet what we want to do. But there are other options. You just have to look at the details.
Right.
And I believe that the staff, when looking at refurbishing it, the tanks as they are now is not really adequate to what needs to happen. And with
Not much of a
seismic
cost
fleet,
difference either.
and there's not much of a cost savings with just doing that. And in the long run, when you're looking at seismic activity, we want to do long-term solutions, not just sticking Band-Aids on things. So.
Bring up the topic of using the existing tanks designs, and can we just reuse those? And I think they said, yeah, they standardize and reuse many details and specifications, but the engineer must confirm and stamp the final design for each location. The kind of approach to reuse the plans for the existing tanks reduces conceptual design effort and review cycles, but does not eliminate the need for site-specific engineering and certification. And also, those existing tanks are not seismically compliant. There would be different components involved, like I think, for instance, bolted down on the perimeters, the slosh factor on the top, so the much larger freeboard on the top of the tank. So it is not the same tank.
And by moving forward with having you as a signer, this number isn't necessarily what we're committed to, but this just gives us actually more options as well. It doesn't mean we're going to take those options, but it gives us more options to look at.
Right. So, with that being said, should we go to public comment then? We already did that.
Yeah.
All right, let's do a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2607, authorizing the general manager, Chris Christensen, as the authorized representative for signing for the Shelter Cove water tank replacement project.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Roll call.
Mike Solori,
Aye.
Chuck Hildreth,
Aye.
Wes Bonham,
Aye.
Kristen Sanders,
Aye.
Tricia Shane.
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's move on. Action item number 5. Adoption of resolution 26-8, 26-09, 2610, CalPERS health insurance.
Okay, so recent increases in district health insurance costs have caused staff to research alternative health insurance providers. The past 10 fiscal years of district health insurance costs, plus the projection for this fiscal year, are displayed in the charts. You can see they've gone from about $200,000 to almost $400,000 in 10 years for district health insurance costs. Not only are the health insurance costs for the district rising, but they're also rising for staff, especially those with a dependent or family. Currently, the district contributes toward employee medical insurance premiums up to the following amounts: $2,000 per month for a single employee, $2,650 per month for employee plus one, and $2,800 per month for employee plus two. Meanwhile, the total premiums for the two available plans for staff through our current provider, Special District Risk Management Authority, SDRMA, are displayed on the chart below. I didn't have a visual aid for the screen, apologize for that. And you can see though that, for instance, a family plan a family with the highest plan available right now is paying over $1,800 a month just for their health insurance. It comes directly out of their paycheck. While these costs are significant for the district, they are also prohibitively high for staff, especially for those with a dependent or family. In fact, in some cases, the employee share per month is equivalent to a monthly rent or mortgage payment just for health insurance. After a series of informational meetings and presentations with staff, staff and I have decided to pursue CalPERS Health as the new district health insurance provider. CalPERS Health is California's largest risk pool for rate negotiations. Some of the increased benefits from this provider versus our current provider include lower premiums, the option to pick from 5 potential plans versus only 2, and the ability for post-retirement medical coverage. The total premiums for the lowest and highest cost available plans from CalPERS Health are displayed in the chart in the report here, also showing both the district and employee cost shares. And as the charts show, even the highest cost available plan from CalPERS Health, PERS Platinum, will save costs for the district or staff versus our current provider. The associated bonus in employee recruitment and retention cannot be quantified. One of the requirements to become a member of CalPERS Health Insurance is for the board to pass resolutions. The attached resolution 2608 is the standard resolution to opt into CalPERS Health Insurance. It specifies that all full-time staff will participate in the plan, but employer contributions towards premiums will be unequal between active employees and annuitant retirees. Staff have also selected 2 additional optional resolutions. Resolution 2609 extends health eligibility to survivors of a deceased employee who are otherwise ineligible. Resolution 2610 extends health eligibility to survivors of a deceased annuitant retiree who does not receive an allowance and or otherwise ineligible. In both cases, an employer contribution is at the discretion of the agency. So I know there's a lot here. Health insurance is definitely a language I don't fully speak. Had to learn a lot here. So I did ask for the CalPERS health representatives to be online here to help assist with any questions. And I think we do have one. Eve Knight with CalPERS Health is online to help answer any questions you may have. But this is what staff would like to proceed with. Just another bit of detail. If the board passes this resolution, the process is 90 days after they do it by the 1st. So it'd be 90 days after April 1st, which would be July 1st. We would switch to CalPERS Health. And same process with SDRMA. They require 90 days to opt out. So it would be concurrent. It would be perfect timing. One side note, SDRMA says if we opt out, not only is it the 90 days rule, but we will have a 3-year lockout of trying to get back in. So they say you cannot have our insurance for 3 years after opting out.
Okay, I got a few things on this real quick. First of all, I'm very disappointed in IBEW for not taking an active role in pursuing this after we discussed it in the last contract negotiations. They have not lifted a single finger to help to do this, but yet they squawk about it. Now we're back into another year of union negotiations, and they're trying to get this done prior to our union negotiations. I would not agree to that personally as the negotiator for the district, but since our staff need this so bad, I'm gonna encourage that we get this passed and we get this done for our staff because they really need it. But like I said, I'm extremely disappointed in our union stewards and our IBEW representatives who should have been helping us find solutions for the employees, and they have not done anything. So with that being said, I like this CalPERS program. I think I suggested it 3 years ago, and you guys came up with some pretty good numbers, which I think I'm going to be all in favor of. I would like to hear from the representative and the rest of the board as well. Anybody else?
I agree with you, Mike. I think on behalf of staff, this is very important to get done. It's something that they've been asking for years, and it's been the health insurance and allowing them to be able to add their families. It's been in the past has been cost prohibitive for employees, and so this remedies that situation. I don't, I have never been in the union negotiations. I'm hoping that maybe if we do pass this, that this will be, you can take
Oh,
this.
that's going to be dangling
know.
right over my head during negotiations.
So, but I do think it's the right way to go. And if it passes, yeah, I do believe
It's
it's the
going to
right
be
way to go.
reflected in our offer.
Okay, I guess I don't really understand like how that's really interesting. Okay, so would it be like it would behoove us to like get this done when we go into negotiations?
So ideally, you would wait till after negotiations to do this, so you can make this a part of your negotiations for a contract. But like I said, since this is so important, we've been trying to get this done for I don't know how many years. I think the sooner the better. And then me and Wes will just have to use this when we go into negotiations with the union, which is going to be a bigger fight than would normally be because we've done this prematurely. But like I said, I think the benefits outweigh the grief that we're going to get from the union over it.
I'd add one thing too. Tristan had a great question that I wanted to add my answer. Think about it. She did earlier, or an email, she did say, how much is this going to cost the district? My answer was, it is very difficult to estimate the cost to the district. The short answer is that it will either cost the district the same amount of money currently, or more than likely less. It depends on which of the 5 available CalPERS health plans an employee chooses, how many dependents an employee chooses to include on their plan, how many retirees enroll, and impending IBEW-MOU negotiations, the district's employee contribution. This is all unknown, and there are many variables. In the packet, you can see I compared our current 2 available plans from SDRMA to CalPERS Health's lowest and highest cost plans. The numbers are based on 1 employee per month. We have 13 full-time employees with health insurance. So I said, let's say hypothetically, all staff are family, and they all pick the highest cost plan, which is an unlikely scenario. But just to pick that one scenario, for SDRMA, the annual cost of the district would be $436,800. That's $2,800 times 13 employees times 12 months per year. And it would be the exact same for CalPERS Health, at $2,800 contribution. However, let's say hypothetically, all 13 staff are family and they choose the lowest cost plan. For SDRMA, the annual cost to the district is actually still the same, $436,000. But for CalPERS Health, it's $393,000 plus. So that's a hypothetical savings of over $40,000 per year to the district. But there are many other variables to factor. The biggest difference between this new plan and our current one is the across-the-board savings that staff will experience. And that's a major issue for staff, as I mentioned, and a huge boon for employee recruitment and retention. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I was really surprised to hear you say that because my assumption was that this was only for non-union employees. And then, yeah, if this is for everyone, I'm really surprised too.
Yes.
That is amazing to me that the union has allowed that.
But it's important.
Oh, I agree. But I just, yeah, that was my question. Is this for union and non-union or just, wow. I would have thought that the union would have had their own better rates.
Or input. We've been asking for 3 years for input, and I have heard nothing.
Yeah. I was curious about, so this is an offering that we have only, Chris, this is an offering that we have only for our full-time employees or for our part-time employees as well? Okay. And in terms of, I didn't entirely understand the other 2 resolutions that deal with health eligibility to survivors of a deceased employee and health eligibility to survivors of a deceased annuitant retiree.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I asked Eve Knight of CalPERS online here to help answer this. It's really hard for me to explain.
Yeah, so if we could get maybe a better understanding of what those resolutions are. I mean, I think I'm in favor of changing the plan, but I'm not sure if I'm in favor of those other 2 resolutions without a better understanding of what they are.
Yeah.
And the cost. I think the cost may be dependent because we may choose not to, and so it may be something that, and if Eve could clarify, but my understanding of reading through it is that it wouldn't cost us anything unless we elected to cover that cost, but the employee could cover the cost, or the deceased spouse or the survivors could elect to cover the cost
Yes.
that we didn't cover. Okay.
Would you like to have Eve answer any, something about that, those ones?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Sure.
Eve?
Thank, first of all, thank you so much for the board for allowing us to be participating on the hearing. I also have my manager with me, Stephanie Duncan. And so the resolution about the survivor is according to the California Government Code Section 22819. This allows the contracted agency to adopt a resolution that lets the survivors of a deceased active employee continue their CalPERS health coverage. And Chris is right. The contribution will be at the discretion of the district for these survivors. The other resolution is California Government Code Section 22819.1. This allows the contracting agency to adopt a resolution that lets the surviving family member of a deceased employee or retiree to keep their CalPERS health coverage, even if the survivor did not receive a monthly allowance. Okay, and also the contribution from the district will be at their discretion, at your discretion.
And what I'll add to that is that even though with both of those optional survivor resolutions, and the district could have the survivors pay for the premiums, the district would still be responsible for the administrative fee if those individuals enrolled. So our administrative fee is 0.08% of the total gross premiums. And so the district could not pass that administrative fee on to the survivors. On our regular, without having these optional resolutions, survivors of retirees who do get an ongoing monthly benefit from CalPERS as a survivor in place of the deceased retiree are automatically eligible. And the district could not put the full cost of premiums on those survivors. So this is all about either survivors of active employees or survivors of retirees who do not get that monthly pension benefit.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the annuitant retiree, that you've clarified that for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's clarified for me. Anybody else have any questions?
I guess my only question is do you guys have like a projected for the next 3 years since we'll be locked out of the GSMR? I mean, what do healthcare costs look like over the next 10 years? I mean, I know they're going to go up, but I'm just curious, is there any, do we know?
They have projections. Do you have any projections for the increase of these plans?
We don't have projections, but we can provide, and I may have already, Chris, did I send you the 5-year rate history for our plans? We do have a historical rates just to kind of give ideas, but we don't have projections.
Okay. Well, that helps.
What was the average what was the average increase year over year for the 5 years? Do you know? Is that one of the metrics that's on there?
The average increase.
Yeah, like it's increased by 3% or 12% or whatever over the last 5 years.
I know for our current plan, for SDRMA, we're around 12% every year increase. What we've been averaging for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I was curious watching. Yeah, no, seeing because you do have the health insurance costs that we've been paying, on the chart, and I was just wondering what that looks like compared to the CalPERS. I mean, it's just more killing time while we're waiting for Tesha to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You need to hire young people that are single.
Don't say that.
I'm having trouble finding that information.
question about that. So the 2610 and the 2609, those are going to be added costs on top of what you had sent me when I emailed you about like if they all picked the highest cost package or premium. So then these 26.9 and then the 26.10 will be added on top of that. Or I guess I'm just leaning towards just the 2608. And I'm just curious. I think those are really nice options, but I just don't know how much the district can handle over the next 10 years, people retiring, people, you know, I'm just,
So if someone retires
Yeah.
under CalPERS and they just do a regular retirement, we already have to pay that.
yeah, I get
And
that.
so that cost isn't going to change except for whatever the cost is of their plan. What
Mhm.
this is doing is for folks who aren't retiring, it's giving those individuals and us the option to figure out whether or not we want to continue that for the survivors. So
I
the
mean-
spouse, for example. So we could
Mhm.
say, so let's say that there is someone that's on this, and please Eve, correct me if I'm incorrect here. So if we have someone who is on this PERS Platinum, the highest, and they're, you know, a family employee, they're, you know, we're paying $2,800 for them. They're going to be paying $1,542.36. So their survivor would then, we would either choose to pay that $2,800 still for their survivor,
Mhm.
or we could choose not to, and then they would have the option to do it.
Okay, so we still have a choice
We
not
still have the
to.
choice if someone, yeah.
But our cost would be less than 1% for administrative.
Yeah.
But then we would have the
Administrative.
0.08% administrative fee if they chose
Mhm.
to do it and if they were the ones who were paying. So it'd be
Mhm.
0.08% of that $2,800,
Mhm.
if I'm understanding that correctly.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And another addition that just popped to my mind for the 22819, the survivors of retirees without a warrant, that only applies to people who currently do not get an ongoing monthly benefit, which is, we pulled a report and it's 4 people. So anyone who retires in the future would need to leave an ongoing monthly benefit for their survivor. So this is kind of like, because they didn't know they needed to leave an ongoing monthly benefit, it covers the people that don't have that. But moving forward, now that they know, they would need to leave their survivor an ongoing benefit. That's for the retired survivors. But yeah, you are correct in the active employee part and the admin fee.
Okay, so only 4 people? I mean, then,
Very minimal.
okay.
Yeah.
4 people.
Yeah.
Um,
And then in the future, they would have to change to adjust their plan to get those same
So
benefits.
I currently have that myself. So I left a benefit to my spouse if anything happens to me because of that. Oh, of course, she has her own insurance anyway, but she will receive a benefit after I'm gone. And then with that being said, then she'll still would get the insurance as well. So
oh, like a life insurance
it-
policy.
it's kind of like they're
A little
having an
bit.
option for healthcare insurance if, say, the spouse never worked or whatever, or the husband never left the spouse any kind of money, they still can opt in and get health insurance, which they were providing prior to that at a minimal cost to us. It's either, you know, we can have them pay the full amount less the administrative. So it's very minimal cost to have an attractive retirement package like that for our employees.
I did find that rate increase information, at least for this year. I don't know previous years, you said 5 years? Sends me to a link to calpers.ca.gov newsroom, CalPERS News 2025. But for our 5 available plans, the rate increases vary. Looks like one of them was 13%, one was 11, one was 13, and one was 6. So it varies, but they were all pretty high this year.
Yeah, I think that's a result of probably the federal rules changing.
I think it's a good move. The biggest issue really is that it's gonna tie your hands a little bit with union negotiations.
Well, we'll muddle through that, Jeff.
But I just think that this is good for the staff.
It is.
That was overwhelmingly a majority supportive of this. We had an all hands meeting, everybody supported.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy to get
It's the
to.
first time I've ever seen it.
Exactly. And again, I've known staff has been on this for a very long time, and it's been a hardship for them. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the CalPERS people?
No.
No? Okay. Should we go to public comment then? Yes or yes? Okay, public comment on this matter? No? All right. Do we get a motion?
I will move to adopt resolutions 2608, 2609, and 2610, CalPERS Health Insurance.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Trustee Shane?
Aye.
Tristan Sanders? Aye. Jeff Mildred?
Aye.
Mike Solari?
Aye.
Mike Bonheim?
Aye.
Motion carries. Last action item of the day, we have to get through this one pretty quickly. Jeff has to leave here pretty soon. Approve the $10,500 unbudgeted expense to Atlas Engineering for the community clubhouse remodel contract. Chris?
Okay, so this is a result of last month's board meeting. The board directed staff to return this month's meeting with the contract from Atlas Engineering for plans to remodel the community clubhouse. The impetus is an impending state grant from the California Strategic Growth Council called the Community Resilience Centers Program. And the details are approximately $55 million is available from the Safe Drinking Water, Wildfire Prevention, Drought Preparedness, and Clean Air Bond Act of 2024, commonly known as the Climate Bond, Proposition 4. The grant is divided between planning grants at an estimated total of $5 million, each grant ranging from $100,000 to $500,000, and implementation grants at a total estimated $50 million, each grant ranging from $1 million to $10 million. Planning grants will fund communities in the initial stages of the project, providing support for plan development, community engagement, coordination, and other activities. Implementation grants will fund new construction and upgrades of facilities to serve as community resilience centers, as well as services and programs that build overall community resilience. Final guidelines and the notice of funding availability for the grant will be available sometime this spring or summer. Applications are due this fall with awards scheduled for next year. Priority communities will include us, those that are low income or disadvantaged, rural, and unincorporated. Finalizing the plans from Atlas Engineering will make the community clubhouse shovel ready for a potential remodeling project that may receive funding through this grant. And the attached contract amount with Atlas Engineering will include revisions to the initial draft plans prior to any potential submission to the county planning and building department. Permitting and construction administration would entail additional charges in accordance with the listed hourly rates. And I did include some snapshots that he had emailed me before of his initial draft plans, and that these would be the foundation that we would work on change, and that would be included in this expenditure. And it can be added to the Parks Engineering General Budget line item number 50131. And you can see the attached contract and a sample of the initial revised plans. So financial impact, $10,500 in the parks budget. And the recommendation is to approve it as recommended by the Parks and Rec Committee.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Any questions, comments?
Initially, when I saw this in the packet, and I was against it, but after sitting down with Chris and going over some of my questions, the fact that they won't be charging us any change orders on the plans that they've already done until the permitting process, I think is helpful, because the plans as presented, or from what we can see thus far, doesn't encompass the building as a whole. And so I'm hoping that we'll be able to remedy that. And it looks like, according to their contract, we will be able to do so without incurring more costs to the design plans. And then also, I'm in favor of it because it does also help us have a set of plans that's ready for, shovel ready, so to speak, so that we can go for these current grants that are available to us, that may be available to us.
Yeah. In contrast to the quote, new community center, unquote, plans that existed, this is actually an existing facility that is there, so it's not a hypothetical building.
Right.
So it would be useful.
Anybody else?
I agree with what Tasha said, I think it is,
Yeah.
I think it's a good start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like
And this-
spending
and
money,
this-
but I think this is money well spent,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah. So I'm actually a little confused about why this isn't a budgeted expense. I thought that we had a $10,000 line item for this expense.
Yeah, what happened was I think almost 5,000 got eaten up by the digitization of the building through the architect. I can't remember the name of that outfit, but that was 5,000, and then what was left went into mold.
Okay. Okay. So this is a fresh. And are we using that digitization in this?
Yeah, that's what he.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then has council reviewed this contract? Okay.
I can have that happen too.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Anybody else?
So for clarification, does that mean we would have to bring it back? You want legal counsel before?
I don't think so, because we're just approving the unbudgeted expense. We're not approving the contract necessarily, and so Chris can work with council to get the contract approved.
Anybody on the other end of the table? Jeff? Okay, let's go to public comment.
You don't like it or you do? Okay.
Laura?
You guys know I'm all for the community center being refurbished. My question is, with this budget 10,005, what are we remodeling? What are these going to be created into? And I think that's part of the recommendation that we have coming up, is the working group, is let's figure out what the community needs and wants. And then we can work with Atlas to figure out how we get there. Because I think right now just saying, oh, just remodel it, we went there, we had ideas, but we didn't have like a concrete plan of what we're going to do with this community center and what's going to be housed inside of it. And I think that's an ongoing discussion with the community that needs to be had. Is what do they want to see, what needs to go in there, especially the downstairs. I think upstairs is pretty self-explanatory, but the downstairs, there's a lot of potential and a lot of multi-use. And I think we really need to discuss that and hone in on that. So that would be my suggestion. Is like, yes, great. I love the idea of getting these plans done, but I also think we need to have a strategy first before we start those plans and waste money, because we don't want to waste money on plans again. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, that does bring a good question about like the process of reviewing the plans, and did that come back to the board at each meeting? Here's this next set of plans, what we do, or work with the working group. Not sure.
Yeah,
Leave it up to me to work and coordinate those.
I thought the Parks and Rec was they've already gone through everything, and isn't that what these plans were for, based on us talking to the engineer down there that day, and it's not?
That's what happened.
Or is this just to fortify to make it safe?
That was to make it safe.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
not necessarily expand the design or like look at the building as a whole. It was like, we were looking at like, well, what can we do to make this building come into compliance with ADA, but also mitigate the leaks and all of that.
Right.
However, since that,
But we could expand on their current plans,
exactly,
and
and
it'd be
that's
pretty simple and just pay the hourly rate.
and that's where I'm why I'm for
Yeah.
doing this is because they're saying they aren't going to charge us any change orders to their current plan. Even though it doesn't, the current plans don't meet exactly what we want.
Right, okay.
I think what they're asking though is what direction are we giving staff and the committee? Like I think the board needs to seriously think about how do we want to approach this project. Maybe that comes before the board at the next meeting.
We table this and wait until we get the recommendations from the next report. I'm assuming, right? Yeah. That if we can table it till next month and we have their 62-page report, then we can kind of incorporate this in the discussion. rather than putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah, I don't think there's any rush. I think Atlas Engineering said they're pretty busy right now.
Yeah, so I would suggest tabling it.
We're just doing for the budget, not the design, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not at the design. This is just for the budget and getting these plans in district
Rolling.
hands.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
Arlen?
I only see the upstairs, so they don't really have the plans for anything downstairs, and I see that they're doing a French door.
Again, these plans are not what we're necessarily,
So we're just doing the budget.
this is just the budget line item. The plans are, these are not the final plans or even,
Yeah, I
and
think
those
that the
discussions,
community should have a say.
exactly.
Yes.
We're
So
in
this is
we're in
just
agreement
budget.
with that.
Yeah, we didn't receive all of his drawings either. You just gave a sampling. Not until you pay do you get to see all.
They're waiting for us to pay.
Any other public comment?
Just real quick, I would say the more urgent thing would be is to start a working group for this community center so we can really get these plans rolling, so that we can help Chris and you guys work with Atlas, so it's not so overwhelming. Because the committee is gonna be almost done, our strategic plan, right? So that's gonna be something that we're gonna be approaching, is do we continue with that, or do we break out working groups for these different projects? So I think kind of looking at which way the board wants us to go, keeping the committee or going into working groups for these. That's something that I would recommend thinking about and maybe discussing next meeting.
Yeah.
Just having that discussion.
This is just for the budget item.
Yes.
It's just for the budget item, so yeah, I agree with everything.
We can just
Let's make a motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Do we want to get a motion going to get this going?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the $10,500 unbudgeted expense to Atlas Engineering for the community clubhouse remodel contract, pending the contract being reviewed by legal counsel and approved.
And I will second that motion.
Roll call.
Wes Bonnheim,
Aye.
Mike Solori,
Aye.
Josh Shane,
Aye.
Jeff Wilder,
Aye.
Kristen Sanders. Aye.
Motion carries. On to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business that we need to discuss before we adjourn? Jessica?
I was curious if the board wanted to, consider a date for that town hall type thing on the special utility tax. Want to input on a
Chris
date
kind of
for
had
that?
it end of next month, during the week, I think, in the evening, about 5 or 6 maybe. We gotta have a draw to get people to come in. Free written in.
Maybe April 24th, Friday, or?
I'll let you figure it out, Chris.
All right. Friday, yeah, I know, maybe not Friday. I'll work with the board.
Yeah.
We'll figure it
We'll figure it out.
out.
And then, Wes, did you want to be involved in the,
Oh, wait.
is it the whole board?
It sounds like it's a special meeting.
Oh, okay, all right, the whole board.
I would like to be, but I wouldn't be able to make that weekend. I'm out of town. The weekend of the 24th.
It sounds like what we were discussing earlier is that it was a special meeting.
Right.
The next board meeting is April 16th, Thursday, 9 a.m. Maybe a double whammy in the evening also.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe, this is just an idea, and maybe we could do that particular board meeting in the evening at a special time. But I guess that would have to go, that would have been an action item for this meeting.
I think so. And actually, I wouldn't be able to make that one that day. The 16th is Chloe's birthday. We're not going to be around for that either.
So I guess just email us, let us know.
Yeah. I mean, I could do earlier in the week on both of those weeks, but.
Okay.
It is 11:09.
Meeting adjourned 11:09.